Rapid gunfire, a wild scene on busy Memorial Drive in Cambridge. A gunman unleashing a barrage of bullets into traffic as drivers run for their lives.
He turns around and then he just starts shooting.
Shooting randomly in the air, spraying cars, spraying everywhere. I just, got out of the car and ran.
He was shooting. I tried to crawl underneath the seats. I was running for my life.
Terrifying moments, a chaotic scene drawing a massive police response.
So take a close look at this. Moments after the suspect was apparently shot, he fell to the ground. And as you can see, as he's lying on the ground, he is still firing that gun. Our camera capturing police moving what we believe to be the weapon that the gunman had been using. The story is still at 6 o'clock at night. That story is still developing at this hour, and we're still waiting to hear from the Middlesex District Attorney. Good evening, everyone. I'm Ed Hardy.
And I'm Maria Stefanos. It was truly a wild scene out there. Bullets flying, a postal truck among the vehicles hit.
And this is all unfolding, as we said, right in the middle of the day on busy Memorial Drive, not far from the River Street Bridge. Memorial Drive is still shut down in both directions at this hour.
We do have live team coverage beginning with News Center 5's Mary Saladna. Mary.
Yeah, Maria and Ed, let me set the scene for you. I'm right where the bridge, River Street Bridge, hits Memorial Drive, and right behind me you can see everything's still roped off and closed down. And look at those green placards. There's one for every shell casing left on the ground after that barrage of bullets that the gunman unloaded earlier this afternoon. And the video that you have been looking at came from that high-rise over there, an apartment building on one of the upper floors. I talked to the young man who took that video with his phone. His mother and he they're just terrified and grateful that they're safe. But a lot of people in that building really just saw and heard the most shocking thing. This is the video, and I also just talked to someone on the first floor who said some of those bullets pierced his first floor window in that apartment complex. He and his wife also safe, but badly shaken by this entire ordeal. Take a listen to what it was like to see and hear this.
Once he gets to that gunfight, I think I'm probably like six shots in, maybe 2 from him, and the rest from the cop. He drops, straight drops. But the way he drops like his leg gave out. So I'm thinking they shot his leg. So he lays down. Plop. I think he throws the gun. I know he throws the gun. So once he throws the gun, my boy is just out here just laying down, and now he got his hands up.
Now we're piecing together still at this hour why this happened and waiting to hear the official word from authorities. But I do know that I talked to a number of witnesses who say they did see this man open fire on one car in particular. And it seemed like it was personal, they said. And after that, he then kind of started walking down the street and just randomly sort of firing. And it seemed like he would look at the person in the car, but then shoot the vehicle, not the actual driver, unlike the first vehicle that he opened fire on. So these are just things that we're gathering and hearing from a number of witnesses, not just one, but a number of them. And police are sorting all this out. But we'll, of course, bring you more as we learn about how and why this unfolded early this afternoon here on Memorial Drive. We're live in Cambridge. I'm Mary Saladna, WCVB. Back to you.
All right, Mary, thank you. You stand by. We appreciate that.
Our coverage continues with Sarah Conjure. She has more on the takedown of that gunman. Sarah?
The video that we're seeing from cell phones like Mary just showed you, and also just the accounts from witnesses, all very chilling. This is the scene here. Memorial Drive still closed down. State police are still here, and although you can't see it, we know there's a state police drone overhead still gathering evidence as well. We know that the gun itself is still on the ground further in the distance, described as a long machine gun. Now, we've been talking with some of the people who were in their cars driving along Memorial Drive here when suddenly they saw this man with that long rifle come out from the Dunkin' Donuts plaza and start firing. These witnesses describe how they describe him shooting randomly into the air at the cars. One man described how it was pointed at him. These drivers abandoned their vehicles and just started running, some running down Memorial Drive, some running behind the building, calling 911 as they were running. Let's hear from some of the witnesses we talked with earlier.
We looked up and we saw the guy walking down the street and raising like the gun, and he was shooting. My driver got out. I tried to crawl underneath the seats, And then I saw they was getting closer and closer, and I could see them coming, so I crawled out of the van. The guys pulled me over here behind the trees and keep down, and then I ran through the bushes and fell in here and ran all the way down the street. And then they took me in this building over here because I was all shook and everything. Like I was running for my life.
Stopped at a red light and then hear the shots. We didn't not sure what they were, and there was a number of shots, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right in a row. And so then the man emerged from the right side, like where the Dunkin' Donuts area was, the MIT Credit Union, shooting randomly in the air, spraying cars, spraying everywhere, and people just started running. People got out of their cars and just started running the opposite way.
Now we are back live here on Memorial Drive, and it appears that some of the investigators have shown up with white boxes, presumably to remove the weapon that the alleged shooter had. I don't know. Photographer Tim and Devlin is focused in on it. So we believe that's what they're going to do. That gun has been there the entire time that we have been here, with the exception of one moment when they picked it up to take a picture of it. It looked like they maybe flipped it, but now it appears they're going to remove it. Many of those witnesses who were in those cars are still here, hoping to get their belongings back of what they left behind in those vehicles. And there's damage to those vehicles too. There's bullet holes we've seen in a windshield, in a headlight, in the front grille. We saw some coolant spill out from underneath one of the vehicles that was damaged. We did just see, and the school bus, we heard from a woman who was in the sort of small school bus. The state police troopers did allow someone to go back into that school bus and grabbed what looked like a backpack. It actually looked like a cooler, one of those cooler backpacks, and that was brought out, and she was allowed to take that away. But other witnesses that we were talking with earlier still remain here. They have been talking with detectives and investigators to give them their account of what they saw, the same kind of account that they have given us. Just a very chilling scene of seeing someone randomly open fire on busy Memorial Drive here. This has been a popular running spot with people walking their dogs along the path, and they've been stopping to see what happened and ask what happened. And many people just relieved to hear that not more people were hurt. Of course, at this point, we still don't know exactly how many people were injured, and hopefully we'll learn more when we hear from District Attorney Marion Ryan. This is Sarah Conji reporting from Memorial Drive in Cambridge. Maria and Ed,
Sarah, hang on for a second, Sarah. I'm not sure you got to. I'm not sure you got. They just put I believe they just put the weapon into a evidence box of some kind. Did you see that? Can you see that from where, or is that just too far from where you are?
I think they did just put the gun in the evidence box. It's hard to see from this distance, but with our camera zoomed in, we can see that. And of course, blocking us a little bit is the gentleman who is operating the drone. But yes, the long rifle there is now in the box to be taken away as part of evidence. And of course, they are documenting and recording all of this to be used later as part of the case they may build against the alleged shooter. This is the chain of evidence that we're watching right now. This is the beginning of that chain of evidence that you're seeing here, Ed.
It gives you a great idea of just how tedious and how long the process is. If this was roughly 1:30, whatever, quarter 2 in the afternoon, here we are at 6:08, and they've just actually moved the weapon into an evidence box. All right, Sarah, thank you so much for that.